So I'm going to explain to you why World War One, Two, and Three did and are happening, what the actual causes are, and what could be the end results if we pay attention. So to start, all of this is about population control, about making your population as large as possible, but as manipulative, that you can manipulate them as easy as possible, right? And that gives you soldiers. So 2,000 years ago, the Romans were using lead pipes for their water, and everyone's just like, well, they must have known. They did know. It's a fact that the Romans knew that lead caused poisoning, but oh, they didn't care. I'm sorry. What people today are actively saying, I know that lead causes neurological problems and birth defects, but I'm fine with it. I'm fine to consume it and touch it all the time. No one is actually saying that, but it was a known fact. All right? And then for 2,000 years, they used lead, right? And they built all of America with lead pipes and lead paint. 2,000 years after knowing it's poison. All right? Then the working class said no. And if you saw my video about how America was actually created, what actually caused that, you know that the wealthy people see something like this and they move very quickly. They don't wait until you have succeeded. Because it wasn't until I think the 90s that we finally got the lead out of the gasoline. The 90s. So by 1914, the Great Distraction, World War I, and I'll show you how they use these wars as the distraction for what they're doing to us right now. Now, World War II was the Great Experiment. What to feed them, how to sleep them, what to do to control them the easiest. And we already knew that America was doing these experiments on a number of racial groups in this nation without consent. We know what the Germans were doing. And we recently found out, if you saw on TikTok like me, that a lot of this crazy stuff was also happening in Asia by, I think, the Japanese. They were doing even crazier stuff, even crazier. It's all insane. And so what World War II is we're going to, and also remember, every military has their own diet. They all had their own type of rations, right? So everything was tested at very large scale. And that's why it was so important that World War II, we sent our troops, American troops, into the war because we had so many different racial genotypes that we needed to experiment and confirm our data with. And because the baseline was these white soldiers that were being, experimented on, basically. And so that was a great experiment. And then what happens right after World War II? Immediately a modernization of our commercial feedlots for animal agriculture. When you consume the mammal flesh, not only does it make you big and strong, really fast, even though it's the least effective food source to do that, what it does along the way is it inflames your brain. And in extreme cases, like maybe when you lower the price from $30 to $5 a pound, it could take 6 months for your brain to recover from that inflammation. And assuming you continue to do that, it will be never. Continued brain inflammation causes depression, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. Do you think people with this mental state are making good choices at any given time? Very easy to control. And at the same time, plastic becomes ubiquitous in everyday life. Plastic, which causes infertility, brain diseases like Alzheimer's. They'll never believe two different things at the same time. Let them have the lead. Because what? By the 90s, when we finally got the lead out of our gasoline, out of our air, by then the air is filled with the plastic. Do you see that beautiful transition there they made? It's impressive work. 90 years, 100 years, 100-year plan. It only took 2 world wars to distract along the way, get that data. Now let's talk about number 3. It's 2020. Biden and Harris have just won office. And being sustainable is actually cool and trending. Do you remember that? Being vegan was also trending back then. November 2021, the United States first announces its support of a global world plastic treaty, the thing that they used to replace lead. In December, Biden signed the first executive order addressing plastic in American, all of American time. November, December 2021. By February of 2022, Russia has launched an invasion into Ukraine. Russia, who again has a not very educated population and a large portion of their economy based on oil. So in November as well, or before this, there was also the green infrastructure bill, which was a transition off of fossil fuels. So both at the same time, America transitioning off of fossil fuels and attempting to transition the world off of plastic, a fossil off product, whatever. Do you remember all the propaganda they were spreading in America about how we should all hate Joe Biden? The Russia was paying, and we learned about the influencers who were paid by Russia and the accounts that were saying they're American but were also based in Eastern Europe that were spreading that propaganda for us to hate Biden, but it didn't work, did it? It wasn't working, and the World Plastic Treaty was continuing. And it was supposed to be agreed upon in 2024, all right? And so, of course, since that was going so well and everyone liked Biden, that's when they decided to kick off things in the Middle East, all right? And that time it worked very well because they worked with their propaganda teams to target people and send special targeted messages to each different racial group to make you all hate Kamala Harris in your own special way. And of course they were doing things with Biden, but this war was much more effective at convincing the public to hate our government. The only government, I mean, especially, it's funny because they're communists and part of that treaty was including like actual caps on the total amount of plastic. And if you understand our economy and how we don't have enough land on Earth to grow all the things that would be required to sell all the crap we sell, it's only possible because of plastic. They were actually like literally putting a limit to the literal capitalism. That's the most anti-capitalist thing that's ever happened. But the communists are the ones that hated them the most because their brains are rotted by cow and plastic, right? And it's easy to manipulate them. And I mean, how often do you meet a vegan communist? And it worked. Trump won. He canceled the treaty. And if you want to know when that was the same day that Putin got the red carpet in America. It was for the World Plastic Treaty. But no one wants to pay attention to that part. So what does this mean? This means that the elitists of this planet have been using toxins to poison our brains since the Roman times, all right, with the lead pipes for a lot of time. And once we started to do something about it, they said, we're going to do these two instead. And so, yes, we need to get rid of the plastic. We need to get out of the soil because I bet they didn't realize it was going to stop photosynthesis, the plastic. I don't think they realized it would destroy all life that ever has existed. But that's where we're at. So we need to deal with that. But also, we need to literally find these rich people. Like, there is these rich families, and they've been doing this entire time. And they need to only live in prison. They can never, ever come out again. I mean, this entire time. For 2,000 years. And it's not about, like, it's just, we have to take all of the money in their entire family away. Or this will never, it's just going to be another thing they create. And it's possible that the Democrats were only allowing us to get rid of the plastic and beef because they figured out how to do this mind control with the social media. We're unsure. Maybe that's I kind of think that the school pew-pews, I think that's from the social media people. Algorithms intentionally, and so maybe that was the evidence they needed that they could control us this way. I don't know, but we need real trials, and we need to find the real people that did this, and we need to do it before they have too many robots.